Sometimes, the quietest passenger carries the weight of 1,000 judgments, and the truth that humbles an entire cabin. It wasn't her first flight, but it was her first time traveling for something this important. Clad in a simple gray hoodie and jeans, she held nothing more than a worn backpack and a manila envelope that she never let out of her sight. The moment she took her assigned seat, 18B, between a sharply dressed businessman and an older woman with pearl earrings, she felt it. The silence. The shifting glances. The tightening grip around the woman's handbag. She smiled politely, but neither returned the gesture. As passengers continued to board, the whispers began. "Must have been upgraded by mistake," the businessman muttered to the woman. "She doesn't look like she belongs here," the woman whispered, not so quietly. Tiana turned toward the window, her eyes stinging. But she said nothing. The flight hadn't even taken off when a flight attendant approached her with a tight-lipped smile. "Ma'am, are you sure you're in the right seat?" she asked. Tiana handed over her boarding pass, silently. The attendant checked, hesitated, then smiled awkwardly and walked away. It didn't end there. A man across the aisle kept glaring at her. A group of young girls behind her giggled and took photos, whispering cruel comments loud enough to be heard. Tiana endured it all, her knuckles white around the envelope she clutched. Mid-flight, an announcement echoed through the cabin. "Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to take a moment to recognize a very special passenger on board today." Tiana froze. To Ms. Tiana Harris, in seat 18B, congratulations on your successful appeal to the Supreme Court in the landmark case protecting the rights of marginalized students across the country. Your bravery and relentless pursuit of justice has paved the way for thousands. The airline is honored to have you flying with us today. The silence that followed was thunderous. Every eye turned to her. Mouths parted in disbelief. The businessman beside her blinked rapidly, as if seeing her for the first time. The pearl-wearing woman gasped. The girls behind her went quiet. A second flight attendant approached with a bouquet and a small box. "Ms. Harris, we'd like to move you to first class. On behalf of the airline, we apologize for any discomfort or disrespect you experienced today." Tiana stood slowly, holding back tears, and followed the attendant. As she walked past the rows of passengers who had judged her, whispered about her, and dismissed her, none could meet her gaze. Later, the same flight attendant came back to inform her that the airline had banned one of the girls for taking unauthorized photos and issued warnings to the others for harassment. The businessman and the woman beside her had been reported for discriminatory comments. Tiana didn't smile out of pride. She smiled out of relief. Not for herself, but for every girl who looked like her, who had been told they didn't belong, on planes, in courtrooms, in power. Because now, the sky knew no color. And neither should those who traveled it. As Tiana settled into her new seat, the luxurious space enveloped her, and she felt the weight of the moment shift. Her heart swelled as she nervously held the bouquet, the vibrant colors stark against her muted attire. The flight attendant returned, attempting to alleviate her tension. "You deserve this celebration, Ms. Harris," she said warmly, a genuine smile illuminating her face. Tiana nodded, struggling to process the unexpected turn of events. The world outside the window blurred, a kaleidoscope of clouds washing over her thoughts, while the silence in the cabin lingered like a heavy mist, full of judgment but now infused with a hint of respect. As Tiana took a deep breath, feeling the soft fabric of the first-class seat envelop her, she couldn't help but glance back at the economy section one last time. The faces that had judged her only moments before were a medley of expressions, some confused, others ashamed, but all were marked by a new understanding. A sudden warmth filled her heart, the once chill of isolation replaced by a budding sense of community. The flight attendant poured her a glass of sparkling water, and Tiana managed a shy smile, feeling the corners of her lips lift for the first time that day. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice barely above a soft murmur, but filled with gratitude. Everyone around her was beginning to realize that respect for one another begins with acknowledgement, and in this fleeting moment, she felt the need for her story to be shared, to inspire others who might feel invisible. Tiana gazed out the window, watching the sun dip low on the horizon, its warm hues reflecting a newfound hope. Within the confines of the first-class cabin, conversations resumed, yet a subtle shift in energy permeated the air. Travelers exchanged glances, some sharing whispers of admiration rather than derision, acknowledging the change that had taken place. A little boy nearby leaned forward, wide-eyed and enthralled by the bouquet she held. "Are those for you?" he asked innocently. Tiana turned, her heart swelling with pride and possibility. Yes, they are, she replied softly, leaning closer to him, and in that moment, she recognized that every encounter could carry the potential for growth and understanding. As she took another sip of water, Tiana felt the vibrations of conversations around her grow more positive, like ripples of newfound respect spreading through the cabin. An elderly man sitting across the aisle nodded at her, his eyes glistening with appreciation, and mouthed the words, "Well done." A soft smile crossed her face, igniting a warmth within her that felt like sunlight breaking through clouds. With every passing moment, the notion of bravery felt less like a solitary act and more like a collective experience. She caught snippets of genuine admiration, stories shared among the passengers, and whispers of inspiration, all swirling together in the once judgmental environment. Tiana realized she wasn't just a symbol of triumph, she was a bridge to understanding, connecting diverse lives through shared experiences and aspirations. Each interaction became a testament to resilience as she cherished the transformative power of vulnerability. As the flight continued, Tiana found herself surrounded not just by strangers but by potential allies, each moment a reminder of how community could emerge from solitude. The conversations echoed with renewed energy, laughter intertwined with stories of courage and vulnerability, underscoring a shared humanity. Tiana listened closely, her heart racing with the realization that her journey had sparked something great. Her voice surged within her, urging her to share, to uplift those who felt silenced. "Excuse me, everyone," she began, her voice trembling yet firm, drawing the attention of the cabin just as the stewardess had before. "I have something I want to say. I never expected to be honored like this, but I want to remind each of you that our stories matter," Tiana continued, her voice gaining confidence. "We all carry battles inside us, and together, we can inspire one another, change perspectives, and uplift each other." The cabin fell into a reflective hush, the passengers listening intently, their hearts connecting in shared vulnerability. "Together, we can create a world where everyone belongs and feels seen," Tiana concluded, her heart swelling with a sense of hope. Let this moment remind us that every journey has the power to transform lives, starting from within. As the cabin erupted into warm applause, it was clear that change was already in the air. The applause washed over her, a tide of warmth that enveloped Tiana like a well-deserved embrace. She scanned the faces around her, witnessing tears and smiles that mirrored her own emotions, a collective acknowledgement of the power of voice and vulnerability. As she took a breath, feeling invigorated by the energy of the room, Tiana realized that what had begun as a journey clouded by judgment had unfolded into a beautiful narrative of connection. In that moment of shared humanity, Tiana felt an electrifying surge of hope, igniting a spark within her to continue speaking. "Each of us has the power to make a difference," she emphasized, her voice steady and resonant, "not just on this flight, but everywhere we go." The atmosphere transformed, charged with the promise of new beginnings, as listeners leaned in closer, eager to absorb her words of empowerment. "No matter where we are from, or what we look like, our experiences weave a tapestry of strength," Tiana continued, her resolve growing firmer with each passing second. "When we share our stories, we break barriers and build bridges." The once judgmental cabin was now alive with a palpable sense of unity and empathy, hearts beating in sync to the rhythm of her call for togetherness. Each applause she received was not only directed toward her but also as a tribute to every untold story, every silent struggle that had been faced alone. As the airplane soared through the clouds, Tiana envisioned a world transformed by understanding, where kindness reigned and every voice mattered. "Let today be a reminder that we all belong." With that, her words hung in the air, echoing the sentiments of courage and resilience that had painted this journey anew. The smiles that surrounded her were no longer masked by doubt, but rather illuminated by the light of shared understanding. "Let's remember," Tiana continued, feeling the pulse of connection reverberate through her, "that our differences are not barriers, but rather the threads that bind us together." There was a beautiful vulnerability in their shared gazes, a bond formed not through resemblance but through revelation. Tiana's heart raced as she spoke with fervor, sensitively acknowledging the challenges many faced. "Each of us has faced moments of exclusion or misunderstanding." The cabin remained silent, absorbing her story, as she continued, "Let this be a space where we lift each other up, where voices are heard, and dreams are realized." The atmosphere crackled with potential, the kindness in the air palpable, as passengers nodded, enlightened and inspired. Tiana could already visualize ripples of change cascading beyond this flight, igniting empathy in places far and wide. As she drew in a deep breath, she locked eyes with the little boy who had sparked her hope earlier. His innocent enthusiasm brought a wave of warmth crashing over her. "It starts with us, with acknowledging one another," Tiana concluded with determination, her voice unwavering and strong. "Together, we rise." The cabin erupted into applause once again, this time transforming into a celebration of their shared humanity, their stories merging into an inspiring melody of unity, feeding the fire of kindness that encapsulated the flight. Tiana felt an overwhelming sense of belonging as the applause resonated around her, echoing her own feelings of hope and affirmation. Yet, she sensed this moment was only the beginning of something greater, a shift not solely within the cabin but within herself. She gazed at the faces surrounding her, vibrant with newfound respect, each person's spirit visibly illuminated by her words. An elderly woman across the aisle brushed tears from her cheeks, nodding as if to say, "Thank you for daring to speak." The young girls who had once giggled at her, now looked introspective and changed. Tiana understood that their laughter was born from a fear of the unknown, just as much as her own uncertainty had stemmed from being labeled unfit. With each passing second, she realized that breaking barriers meant not just confronting prejudices but also fostering understanding and compassion for one another. The flight crew exchanged knowing glances, their eyes reflecting shared pride in the transformed atmosphere. As the scenery outside fluttered between brilliant blues and golden hues, Tiana felt as if she were not merely a passenger on Flight 716, she was now a beacon of collective strength, navigating a space fueled by hope and courage. It was clear to her that every judgment past had chipped away at the very fabric of their shared humanity and that her voice, now ringing true, was paving a path towards healing. Amidst the continued applause, Tiana's heart swelled with an unspoken promise, to nurture this spark ignited today and carry it beyond the confines of this flight. With conviction, she vowed to channel this experience into future endeavors, determined to lift up stories that mattered. She was no longer just a witness to the silence but an active participant in creating change, a reminder that in every encounter lies the potential to connect and uplift. And as the plane sailed on among the clouds, Tiana realized the journey ahead was not just about reaching a destination, but cultivating a world where every voice is appreciated, every story valued, and all are welcomed without reservations. Before we land, I want to encourage each of you to carry this energy forward, Tiana said, her voice steady and assured. Let's turn this moment into actionable change, initiating conversations that can foster understanding in our communities.